Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's session, Maximizing Revenue with Buy Now, Pay Later. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. I'm Carol Hargrave, and I'm part of the Pay Later team here at PayPal. We'll be covering your questions throughout the session today, so we've enabled the Q&A feature in your Zoom dashboard. You can submit your questions there at any time during the presentation, and we'll get to them during our Q&A. At the end of the webinar, we'll be sending out a short survey, which should take 2 to 3 minutes to take, and it will help us plan for future webinars. And if you miss anything, don't worry. We'll be sending out the on-demand recording when it's available. And now I'd like to tell you a little about today's speaker. Greg Leshefsky is the Vice President and General Manager of Global Pay Later Products at PayPal. Before joining PayPal, Greg was a founder and CEO of BlissPay, a point-of-sale financing platform. He has over 2 decades of experience innovating consumer credit with a focus on buy now, pay later offerings. Please welcome Greg Leshefsky.
Thanks, Carol. Hi, everyone. My name is Greg Leshefsky, and I'm excited to be with you all today, or at least virtually. We think we have a great session in store. We're looking forward to talking to you about the tremendous opportunity that buy now, pay later solutions create for you as merchants and the appeals that such offerings have to shoppers. This segment of financing has seen massive growth over the last several months and even back a couple of years. And we'll wrap up by talking to you about PayPal's unique pay later solutions and how easy it is for you to take advantage and get them set up. So with that, I will jump right in. So if we step back for a minute, it's really been an odd, 7, 8, 9 months for us as this pandemic has disrupted all aspects of our lives. And as a result, consumer behaviors are evolving at a speed and in ways that only 9 months ago would have been unimaginable. But even with all of these challenges that consumers have faced, they are still spending. But what they're buying and how they're paying are shifting. Some of these shifts could, in fact, be permanent. And what I'd like to do now is talk about some of the top trends we're seeing and walk through a little bit. So first is the massive shift from in-person to online. One McKinsey study has shown that online spending in the early days of the pandemic, back in March and April, were up as much as 90%. And payments is now estimating that e-commerce will rise to 25% of total retail sales in 2020. This is up from 15% just last year. And as I just mentioned, some of this will last long beyond the pandemic. Half of consumers now say that they'll continue to concentrate their shopping online even when the pandemic is over. This creates an opportunity and a challenge for retailers to pay attention to, where you have to make checkouts seamless and offer flexible payment options to meet rising customer needs. We're also seeing a shift from free spending to budgeting. Consumers are shifting their spend offline out of necessity, but with the financial future uncertain, some are still hesitant or more hesitant than ever to part with their hard-earned cash. And that brings with it a real need for flexibility, or to make flexibility available to your consumers. One study found that 66% of Americans plan to track their spending more closely than they ever have. And when you move to the millennial segment, that's as high as 75%. As we all know, millennials were hardest hit by the 2008 recession, and it's a long-lasting memory for them. Simply put, they have a little less money and are more budget conscious than generations before them. And that's why they're one of the groups driving the buy now, pay later revolution and acceleration. The other thing we're seeing is a move from wants to needs. 78% of Americans report saving money in the past few months by not going out to eat, or they're not traveling. But that doesn't really tell the full story. While they're saving on in-person spending, they are spending more on everyday necessities like groceries or cleaning products. They're doing more takeout, and they're also looking at new wardrobes, as the rise of the waist-up wardrobe has taken over many closets. And they're increasing their spend on other essentials as well. And there's been a movement, what's called the bottom dollar effect, from top dollar or buying things that exhaust your budget to making sure you're maximizing every last dollar. It's no surprise that 38% of consumers recently reported delaying a large purchase in light of uncertain economic times we're living through. This is why payment options that let them spread out the cost of a purchase over several installments, whether it be weeks or months, are so appealing to consumers right now. And that brings us to the shift from pay now to pay later. People are still buying, once have not disappeared completely. They're still looking for the latest fashion trends or trying to keep pace with the most modern technology. But increasingly, they're looking for ways to finance those purchases. Installment volume is more than doubled over the last several years, and that growth rate looks like it will accelerate, and it's expected to grow by more than 50% over the next 3 years.
Great, Greg. We have one question so far from the audience. We're starting to hear some positive news about the COVID-19 vaccine. Do you think these buy now, pay later trends and the data that you're seeing so far is going to continue after COVID?
Yeah, that's a great question, Carol. And fingers crossed that the positive news continues on the vaccine front for sure. That said, it is likely, and we do expect that the trend of buy now, pay later solutions will continue and persist past the pandemic. And if you look back on the history of retail, the category wasn't always called buy now, pay later. There's point of sale financing, but it's been a staple of retail for quite a while. In brick and mortar stores going back in many cases decades. The availability of it's been quite limited to larger retailers or niche verticals, often supported by large banks. And those banks haven't done the best to serve either retailers or merchants over the last several years. So I think the trend will be for fintech-oriented companies to continue to drive innovation and the availability of buy now, pay later solutions to meet both customer needs and to meet customers where they're shopping, through retailers of all size and ultimately through all channels as well.
Great, thank you.
Sure. So now let's talk about reaching new customer segments. The explosive growth in buy now, pay later has been driven by several factors, and retailers are taking notice. Over 40% of merchants who primarily sell online are now offering buy now, pay later at checkout. And another 40% are actually considering the choice. Perhaps many of you who are on this webinar today. And there's still time for you to begin offering it and to catch up and make sure you're at parity with this latest trend. Specifically, we took a look at consumer segments, and we think there are 4 key segments you really need to pay attention to maximize your revenue streams. And I'll walk through those now. First is the millennial generation, and I'll extend this to digital natives as well. Millennials as a segment are forecasted to spend $1.4 trillion in 2020, making them the largest demo segment in the market. And while they do use credit cards, they don't use them at the rate that prior generations have. So they're increasingly looking for other options, and they're finding comfort in installment-like solutions. That's historically been especially true for larger ticket purchases, but we're also seeing that now move to lower prices as well. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. One study we looked at showed that 60% of millennials are more likely to feel confident in completing a purchase if they see pay over time or pay later messaging during the shopping journey. And then we have the unsure shopper. Installment payment solutions are providing these types of shoppers with the comfort of knowing they're not going to break the bank. This is especially important in light of the pandemic and the uncertain financial times we're living through. So instead of a $300 or $400 purchase looking like a daunting tax on one's personal finances, you now can break those purchases up into 4 payments of $50 or what have you, or 4 payments of $100 in the case of a $400 purchase, which is really helping pull people through the shopping funnel and drive conversion. And then there's the cost-conscious shopper. As consumers reach the bottom of their budgets, as many are stressed and stretched in these difficult times, they are starting to look to financing for smaller ticket items like clothing or household items. In fact, this segment of spend is estimated to be between $8 and $10 billion in 2020 and is growing at a rate of 50% per year. And much of this data was compiled before the pandemic was as widespread as it now is. So we expect these rates may actually grow over the coming quarters to years. And lastly, that brings me to the buy now, pay later cohort. 56% of consumers have indicated they actually prefer to pay a purchase back with installments versus a traditional credit card. That customer sentiment, combined with banks pulling back on credit card limits or raising rates, is created an opportunity for retailers to take advantage of new solutions to really solve a need for consumers, where consumers of all ages are crunched on both the cash and credit side. We think buy now, pay later can fill that gap, and it's an important solution for you all to consider as you lean into the holiday season here and beyond.
Great. We have a couple more questions for you.
Sure.
Before you move on to the next section. How does this impact me if a customer doesn't pay or if they default on their payment?
Yeah, Carol, that's a great question, and we'll talk about that a little more. But to address it now, the great news is most solutions, but certainly solutions from PayPal, take all of the risk. So as a merchant, you get paid today, and we worry about collectability from the customer. So there's no incremental risk that a merchant or retailer has to take on in order to offer at least our PayPal Pay Later solutions.
And we have one more question. What kinds of customers use these products? And will it help me reach millennials?
Yeah, so we've done a lot of research, and we really thought this would resonate in the millennial and digital native segments, and it will, and it is, and we've seen that ever since we launched our latest offering, Pay in 4. But the good news is this actually has broad appeal across all customer segments. So while we're over-indexed from an adoption perspective with millennials, we are seeing wide appeal and pickup in older demographics as well. So I think the summary there is this is something all consumers are looking for, especially in this pandemic environment where everyone's a little stretched or a little budget conscious, but absolutely critical to satisfy millennial and digital native payment needs.
Great. Thanks, Craig.
Sure. Thanks, Carl. Great questions. So let's talk about the benefits of installment payments in a little more depth. We mentioned here in a less than optimal economy, and folks are trying to stretch payments. Installments bring a certain certainty while providing flexibility. We think there are three key things here to highlight. First, solutions like this can help you as a retailer adapt to a changing market. Customers are more and more drawn to solutions like this, and we think it's important for you to move with your consumers and make sure they have access to the flexible payment options they're seeking out. Second is it has an appeal, and historically this isn't about enabling larger purchases, and that is still true. Certainly when you get into $500, $600, $700 purchase, $1,000 and up, financing plays a really critical role there, and really always has. And what we're seeing is merchants who do message the value props early in the flow in the shopping journey are seeing a 56% increase roughly in PayPal average order values. But we're also seeing this broader appeal down the price continuum with shorter term installment products like Pay in 4, which we will talk about in a little more depth in a few minutes. And lastly, as a retailer, you're all in the business of driving sales, and that's probably the most important thing. Is installments and buy now pay later value propositions really do help drive conversion, leading to incremental sales and incremental revenue. In the process, they increase customer loyalty. If a customer knows that when they come to your site to make a purchase, that financing is going to be there, they don't have to seek out where to get financing first. They can sort of go through their normal habituated behavior of starting at your site. That'll in turn increase lifetime value while decreasing the cost of customer retention and new customer acquisition. All important things to you all as business managers of e-commerce businesses.
So we have one more question about fit. Do installments work best for certain products or price points?
Yeah, great question. And the product, what we've seen that's been really interesting on the product part of that question is, sort of this. There's a consistent theme here, which is broad appeal, broad appeal, and broad appeal. Broad appeal in terms of customer segments. We're similarly seeing broad appeal across verticals or retail verticals. Everything from beauty and cosmetics to automotive parts to sports, general merchandise, home equipment, office supplies, et cetera. It's really been broadly adopted by our consumers across the PayPal merchant network. And similarly, as we've rolled out our Pay in 4 solution, which addresses sort of small and medium sized purchases, we've seen appeal. The real sweet spot. We have a solution that sort of works in the $30 to $600 range, but we have seen broad appeal in that $100 to $200 range for Pay in 4, and then for our other product, we see appeal from the medium up to the large, and we think that trend will continue large past the pandemic. Customers will continue to look for ways to optimize their cash flow on their terms and pay for things as they wish to pay for them through easy to use, transparent offerings.
Great, thanks.
And thanks, Carol. And probably a great segue to talk a little bit more about pay later solutions from PayPal. So, as we've been, like all of you, living and working through the pandemic, we've been experiencing and have our part of the massive shift online, and we've seen great growth and millions of new active PayPal accounts. But we also saw a real need on the pay later front and have been hard at work and accelerated investments in the space to bring additional value propositions, better tools to market so that we can help you as retailers stay current in terms of payment flexibility trends without having to add a lot of extra work or extra worry. You have enough to keep track of your logistics, inventory, marketing efforts, et cetera. So we've made it some investments that I'm excited to share a little more in detail with you now. So at the top of that list is Pay in 4, which we introduced. We announced it in the summer, but we actually started rolling it out only last month in October. And like the name might suggest, it is an installment product in this, what we call this shorter term installment category. It's giving the customer an option to pay for a purchase in 4 equal interest-free installments. So if someone's going to buy a $100 pair of sneakers, they can now break it up into four payments of $25. This particular product fits in the small to medium category, so we made it available on purchases from $30 to $600. And I'm really excited to say we managed to build it into your existing PayPal integration, both in terms of the work for you to take advantage of it, but also the cost. It's bundled in with your PayPal take rate, so there's no incremental cost passed on to you as a merchant to make this feature or option available to your consumer. And similarly, we've invested in better tools to make it easier for you to maximize the value from these solutions. And that really starts with merchandising the value prop earlier in the shopping journey. Here, this page reflects a product page, and this is certainly one of the more important places to mention, whether it's a pay and more value prop or additional buy now pay later value proposition. Near price when they're deep in the consideration part of the funnel, but you should also be thinking about other places on site, homepage, category page, search result page for awareness, and then you should even be thinking offsite, whether that's your social channels or some of your email channels, both transactional things like cart abandonment type emails, or even just proactive marketing emails. The more you can train and educate your customers that there are buy now, pay later value propositions for them to take advantage of, the more folks you'll pull into the top of the funnel and then help convert through the funnel. And that's really important. And we're excited that in addition to launching a new product, we have invested in the tools, both to make it easier for you and to make and optimize ultimately their results. And now I'll quickly walk you through the experience from a customer perspective of what this looks like. So here, the prior page was product page, so that's all about someone learning about it and understanding that they can break a purchase up into smaller payment amounts. And now they're about to begin the checkout process. Customer chooses PayPal. They can go through a traditional PayPal button, or we've introduced a new PayPal Pay Later button. Either way, that will lead them to a login page at PayPal that they're familiar with. And increasingly, we're able to skip this step with our passwordless solutions. But still an experience that millions, tens, hundreds of millions of customers, in fact, are comfortable with. From there, you'll see step 3. We've introduced a new pay later section. So we've carved out an area where we'll aggregate pay later value propositions, so customers become familiar with it, and we'll be investing a lot in consumer awareness and education. Here they would select pay in 4 or another option if there's one that more suits their needs. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. They'll simply continue on. Step 4 is where we'll simply make sure they have full transparency into what that payment schedule looks like, when we're going to draw amounts from their identified or selected payment source. And you'll notice all of these are more educational. There's no real customer input, so it's pretty low friction. It takes far longer to talk about it than it does to actually complete it. The next step in the process, step 5, is confirming information. Because we have hundreds of millions of consumers on file, in the vast majority of the time, we already have the information on file to populate this. It's really just a matter of a customer confirming that nothing has changed. And of course, if something has changed, they can they go ahead and edit that. They'll get through that step. They then select their funding instrument they want to use. We support debits and credit cards today. We'll be adding more funding instruments in 2021. And again, almost all customers have these on file. And once they pick it here, they don't have something to come back and manage. We'll just automatically hit the funding source they select. Of course, if they want to change it, they can. They can always go to the PayPal app and do that. And then they get to the next step, step 7, which is sort of where we're saying, hey, you're good to go with pay in 4. Now they just go back to the merchant site, complete the purchase. You get paid as you normally would for a PayPal transaction, and then we'll go forth and collect repayment from the customer. So really straightforward. Absolutely takes longer to talk about than to try out, but I thought it was important to let you all see the experience from the customer perspective. And one of several unique things about PayPal is Pay in 4 is a new value proposition that will sit alongside our flagship Pay Later solution that we've had in market for the better for 10 plus years now, which is PayPal Credit with its always on offer of 6 months no interest on purchases over $99 if paid in full. This is a really well received product, largely adopted. We have millions and millions of consumers that use this on a regular basis across probably all of your stores. What I'm excited to share is we now have multiple solutions for you, and back to the investment in better tools, we've now made these available to you through a simple integration. One technology implementation gives you access to both pay in four as well as our 6-month offer. And we'll use our data and platform to optimize the presentment of one value prop or another to help optimize your sales in your channel without you having to worry about executing campaigns or targeting or any of that. And we're really excited. We think it's a great feature that we can offer to all of you, all inclusive, as I talked about in your PayPal take rate. So let's talk about PayPal for a second. The value prop, pay in four, it might sound like other solutions that are in the market, and from a customer perspective, at the end of the day, it's accomplishing the same thing. It's giving them a tool to spread their cash flow, flexibility of payment, predictability of payment, et cetera. But PayPal really does have some unique traits that I think are worth highlighting. First is our scale. With over 300 million consumers and tens of millions of merchants, we have a scale that's just unmatched in the marketplace. And with that scale comes data. And we're really able to put that data to work ultimately for you as retailers to help drive sales. We use that data to drive presentment, as I just talked about. We also use that data to help us make better underwriting decisions than anyone else can make. It allows us to pull more customers through the funnel. It allows us to get to yes more often than others because we just have a longer history with customers and have lots of visibility into their shopping patterns, their repayment patterns, et cetera. The appeal of the value prop of splitting a payment into four, combined with a trusted and secure brand like PayPal, when put together in the context of your shopping experience, we really think is powerful. Customer doesn't have to go figure out, wait, who is this coming from, and what is that company? Who are they? Can I trust them? What do they stand for? These are questions that PayPal has spent years answering and relationships building, trust establishing. And by partnering with us for a solution like this, you get to take advantage of that. We've also really focused on making this simple, a low-calorie activity for you as a retailer. I mentioned earlier, you have plenty to worry about. The last thing you need to worry about is a new tender type. So when you take advantage of our Pay Later solutions, it's on top of PayPal as a mark already, or PayPal as a tender type. So you don't have to worry about new processes in the back office, exception handling, if you're omni-channel, in-store returns, financial reports, settlements, and the list goes on and on. You've already done the work to enable PayPal, and this just rides along with that. And again, I mentioned this earlier, but I think it bears repeating. We're really excited to bundle this with your PayPal take rate, which means no additional fees, no premium for the service. Your customers get true no interest offers without you having to subsidize it. And you don't pick up any additional risk. You continue to get paid for these transactions like you do all other PayPal transactions. And I think these are four really key points as you evaluate the market and other solutions to make sure you fully sort of understand. And I'm excited to share that with you. I'm also excited to share that here at PayPal, we're going to be spending significant resources and making investments to make sure customers know about our offerings, and specifically during the holiday time about our new product, Pay in four. And I don't want to open up politics on this call, but if not for the election, we probably would have leaned in a little sooner to some of our consumer campaigns. But like many of you, we wanted to wait and let the dust settle a little bit, and who knows when it'll finally settle. But I think I think it's all time. We're all ready to move on, and you'll start to see us launching programs here over, in some cases, the next couple of days, or the next few weeks, where we'll focus on a few key things. We'll really focus on educating consumers. Again, with hundreds of millions of consumers, we have lots of proprietary inventory. So we'll use our own owned and operated sites and channels to get the word out to consumers that they can now use Pay in four and more broadly Pay Later solutions from PayPal at millions of our merchants. We'll be teaming up, and we're excited about some of this. You'll start seeing some of it as early as next week, with social influencers to help further get the message out and demonstrate how this product can help customers through these unusual and financially stressful times. We'll also be just making traditional investments in display advertising. We're partnering with some of our merchants, which we're really excited about, to do co-marketing in our respective channels. So we'll be participating in merchant marketing channels, and we'll have merchants participating in our channels. And we're really excited to do that. We think when we bring our brand together with one of your brands, we can have the greatest impact with consumers. And then, as we run a traditional holiday campaign to consumers about the values of PayPal, our pay later solutions and pay in four will be a core tenet and part of those solutions. So we're really taking a holistic approach to getting the message out here. We're working hard to educate merchants. We're working hard to launch merchants and sign up merchants, but we're also putting our resources to work, getting the consumer part of that flywheel started, which will benefit the overall ecosystem, as things continue. And we're not going to stop at the holiday campaign. We see this as something we'll continue well into 2021. And I wanted to end with this, because this is sort of to highlight and sort of play off what I just was talking about. We're really excited when we're able to help our merchants sell more goods and help their customers get what they need or want. And we're excited that Aldo Group was one of our early partners on this. They actively are messaging pay in four in their channels. We're seeing phenomenal early results. As Aldo now is making it easy and is meeting those customer needs for flexibility around repayment, control, around cash flow, et cetera. And we're excited, to add many more over the coming days, weeks, and months ahead. In terms of next steps, we hopefully are making it easy for you to get access to the information you want. You can contact your account representative. You can reach out to our dedicated hotline, which is listed here on the screen, or you can visit us at paypal.com/paylater to learn more. And do reach out. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to work with you and show you how easy it is to get our solutions set up on your site. We've launched a new developer portal, and new tools just to make it as simple and easy as possible. And we have some remaining time, so hopefully Carol, I'm sure, has been mining the Q&A channel, and we can pivot over to some additional questions and answers. But thanks everyone for your time. Really appreciate you joining today.
Great. Yeah, so we have a few questions. Do customers have to have a PayPal account to use Pay in 4, and what happens if they don't?
Yeah, that's a great question, Carol. The short answer is no. So, the key to maximizing value for merchants is getting the word out to the merchant's customers or prospective customers as early in that shopping journey as possible. And by definition, while many of those consumers will in fact have a PayPal account, some will not. And just like if they were choosing PayPal for the first time, they can establish that PayPal account through the checkout process. It only takes a matter of seconds. And where we don't have data on a specific individual, we have methods to acquire data in real time so that we can make the right decision and get someone through the funnel and back to the merchant to complete the sale.
Great. So we have another question about the checkout flow. So what is the user flow, and will customers be prompted to log into PayPal each time they select the pay later option?
Yeah, so we've really focused on making that new Pay Later tab an organic part of a PayPal checkout experience. So as customers interact with a PayPal button or option from a merchant site, taking advantage of Pay Later solutions will just organically be included in that. We have introduced the Pay Later button as well, if to help pull more people through the funnel and to sort of bridge that connection between a product page message and a checkout pathway. And to the specific question of logging in, oftentimes if a customer chooses PayPal, they'll log into their PayPal account, but increasingly they don't have to. We've deployed various what we refer to as passwordless flows, where we have high confidence that the customer that clicked the button, if or pushed the button, if you will, is Carol, for instance, and we'll present Carol right with that first step where she can choose a funding instrument, or you can choose to get into a pay later flow. Of course, that's all at our risk. So if we get it wrong, that's on us. But it's just a traditional flow that millions and millions of customers use on a regular basis.
Yep. Great. We have another question about how the mechanics work. So can it be used for multiple items added to the cart? For example, if the customer adds 4 items worth $50 each for a total cart purchase of $200, can they use Pay in 4?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Yeah, so the product is built on the final price and the cart. I'm sorry, on the final basket. So if they have one purchase or one item for $200 or 4 items for $200, we'll process that as a $200 purchase. And for Pay in 4 specifically, 4 payments of $50. And we have built in some flexibility so that if somewhere in that journey, what starts out as a $200 purchase ends up being a $220 purchase because they picked expedited shipping or tax came in later, we can update that in real time. So the messaging will actually update on the merchant site in real time. Or if that happens actually post the return from PayPal, we'll handle that on the back end and actually let the customer know that their final payment, let's say went from 4 payments of $50 to 4 payments of $55. So there is flexibility there, but ultimately it's on that full cart amount that we make the option available.
Great. Here's another question. I'm seeing a lot of buy now, pay later products on the market. How is PayPal different from its competitors?
Yeah, there's certainly several solutions that have popped up in the market. To revisit some of what I mentioned earlier, I think the key things to remember is PayPal has a real opportunity to bring ubiquity and sort of a sense of certainty to consumers, given that we're on the vast majority of sites. I think the latest stat is 83% of the top 100 or so, and because we have that kind of scale and hundreds of millions of customers, we're there to simply help process payment volume and help grow sales for the merchant. We're not trying to build our customer list through merchants, and we're not putting a tax on customers to figure out who we are. And I think those are some really key differentiators, in the intangible category, and then on the tangible category, because we are primarily in the payment processing business, the win for us is helping you sell more so that we get more processing volume, and that's how we make the majority of our money. And as a result of that, we're not a single product company, so we don't have to make all of our money off of just one product type like a Pay in 4. So we're able to price Pay in 4 into the existing PayPal take rate, which based on our research, would be at a significant discount to what other solutions in the marketplace are charging for these types of solutions.
Great. Well, Greg, I think that's all we have time for. Was there anything else that you wanted to cover before we wrap up today?
I'll simply end with thank you to everyone for taking time out of their day. I know everyone's busy, especially if you're in retail in mid-November. There's been a rising trend in this category, but it's never too late to jump in. Better now than never, if you will. And I'm hopeful you take a look at PayPal, as we really have focused to make it easier, simpler, and give you really differentiated assets to leverage to maximize sales in your business. So thank you for your time, and please do reach out.
Great. Thanks, Greg. And thanks everyone for joining us today. We'll see you next time.
Take care.
Bye.